Hello and welcome to this video. This video will focus on the My Team portion of the fantasy football website. As I said in the last video, it's pretty much where you're going to be doing most of your stuff. You know, you'll move around your players and such, so forth. And really what you'll see on the very front screen is your team name. I'll talk about that later. Your team abbreviation. I'll tell you what league you're in for some reason in case you forget. And also tell your name in case you're not entirely sure. This should have a picture because I have uploaded one, but it's not showing up. But if y'all want to see my picture, which I highly suggest you look at, just click on this and it'll take you to the link. So down here, you'll see the roster. And this roster is empty because we have not had a draft yet. Let me talk about that shortly. The draft is supposed to be this Saturday at probably 8 o'clock in the morning. And it has not been scheduled yet, though, because a certain Andrew Coleman has not joined the league, despite me telling him to multiple times. So, Andrew, if you're watching this, you've obviously already joined. So, yeah. Anyway, you'll see here are your starters. Here are the people who will actually be playing. You have a quarterback, a running back, another running back, wide receiver, another wide receiver, a tight end, a flex, which I'll talk about in a second, a defense and special teams, which I'll talk about in a different video because it is complicated, and a kicker. Okay, so your flex can be either a running back, a wide receiver, or a tight end. You can put any of them you want. So, choose wisely. You have 7 bench slots down here for players that aren't going to be scoring points for you, but they're shown on your roster, and an injured reserve slot. What that is if one of your players gets hurt, like to the point where they can't play a game, they'll be designated by ESPN as out. And then they're eligible to be put in the injured reserve slot. So you put them there, and they stay on your team, but you have another bench spot to add a player to take his place while he's hurt. So if anyone's hurt for an extended period of time, it's a very useful function. But if they're not hurt anymore, they lose that outranking by ESPN, then you have to drop a player on your team before you make any roster moves because you'll have exceeded your roster capacity. So what this general overview is right here, it just shows you the basic stats about all your players. You can change it. So as you can see, this shows you the stats of your players. So if it's a quarterback, it'll show you completions over attempts, percentage, yards, touchdowns, interceptions, / fumbles. Yeah. And rushing points and stuff. But that'll all be described later. News. Okay, so ESPN does you this great service of telling you everything you need to know about your players. So you don't have to go scouring the internet constantly looking for updates about this Rob Gronkowski right here who broke his arm last season. ESPN will tell you all about him and that sort of thing. And it'll be listed right here. And you can also do that by clicking on your player, but since there are no players to click on right now, can't really do anything. So, projections. ESPN will project how many points your player will score in a given week. These are notoriously inaccurate because it has a high degree of randomness to it, but it's good for generally picking out. So you'll start to get a feel for it. Schedule. This will show what teams your players are playing in real life. So that'll help you with matchups and stuff because you don't necessarily want to be, starting your third best running back when they're playing the 49ers because that's not really a favorable matchup for them. And then here you'll have ranks, which will tell you how good your players are compared to other players to that position in the NFL, as ranked by Barry, Harris, Carabell, and Cockcroft, and then the average of those 4. So apparently these 4 have been deemed worthy of ranking fantasy football players. What an honor. So yeah, that's the roster portion of it. This add player thing, that's not really that useful because you can just click on the players tab and drop players. Usually if you're going to drop a player, you're probably going to add a player. But if you ever need to drop a player, ESPN will tell you. Watch list. You can select players to add to your watch list. So, like, you put a little flag on them, and then instead of going to players and searching them, that laborious task, you can just put them on here and click twice and see them. Team settings. The ever so important team settings. Okay, so, this is where you edit your team name. Alright, so I've named mine School is In because you are going to get schooled, obviously. I mean, it doesn't take that much explanation. And that's the type of thing you want to name your fantasy football team. You want to name it either something clever or something that annoys everyone else. So, I feel like I found a happy medium between the two. And I just made my abbreviation Rich, so you all know who I am. And it can only be 4 letters. It can be anywhere between like 1 and 4. Or I guess it could be 0. I'm sure one of y'all is going to try and do that for some reason. And then for your logo down here, well, I don't know what this is actually. Okay, this is for them sending you emails. Like, if you want your email to be flooded with ESPN, then go ahead. You can set your logo. What I have mine as is to set it as a picture, although it's not showing up for some reason. But if y'all want to see my picture, because you probably do, you can click that random gray box that takes up the spot where my picture should be over here at roster. Just click this box. You'll thank me. And then finally, trophies. No one has any trophies yet, but I will create multiple trophies. There will be many trophies, and it will be glorious. And they're not actual trophies, they're digital trophies, so it's digital glory. Alright, well, school is out. Have a good night.